What up, Instagram and YouTube? It's your boy Salty Red Corn, and I am out here on this bright sunny day with a very ill-prepared knife review video. Right, I want to go over a knife that I've covered in the past, but I want to go over it again because I've been using it a lot this week, and I was just reminded about how awesome it is. All right, so CJRB Rampart in copper. All right, so if you've seen this knife online, you know that mine is far from stock, as they say. All right, it's heavily modified. And let's go over some of the modifications that I did to this knife. I've had this knife over a year and a half, and I've really hard used it, and it's been great. All right, so I did a really cool textured Shipwreck patina, right? And it's very three-dimensional. There's lots of cracks and crevices and all that stuff. Different scales and different layers, right? This is not clear coated. I know a lot of guys will Shipwreck patina and then they'll clear coat over it, but for my use, that doesn't appeal to me, right? I just like it to be in its natural form. And that's what I have here. And the way that I got all these cracks and crevices and dips and dents is I did the standard kind of methods to patina copper, which is ammonia, vinegar, and salt, right? So I use Himalayan salt because Salty Red Corn, and I made the chamber, right, the vapor chamber, and I scuffed the scales nice and deep with some sandpaper, and I just did that process like 10 times or more. Maybe 12 times, who knows. I did it more than 10 times, or at least 10 times, but I did it over and over and over and over again. And what that did was it gave it, you know, the different acids, the salt grains, they've all kind of etched themselves into the surface and gave it a very barky, textured surface, which not only looks cool, but it feels really good in hand too. But I really like the way it looks. It looks so old. It doesn't look like it's been forced. This actually looks like it may have been sitting at the bottom of the ocean for a long time, and it gives a very authentic look. And I really, really like that, the way it came out. And holding this knife and playing with this knife again reminded me and kind of gave me the inspiration that I'm probably going to do this to some of my other bronze or copper knives here in the future real soon. Because this technique just works really, really good. Maybe I'll make a video on that in the future next time I do it. The next thing I did was I milled the liners, all right? This knife comes in, it's pretty heavy. Not like I care about weight of a knife because, you know, I have lots of copper and bronze knives. But I really wanted to lighten this knife up. This was the first copper knife that I had, and I really wanted to focus on just kind of making it perform better as well as look cooler. So I hooked up with a friend who has a mill, and I came up with a pattern here on the show side underneath in the liners. It's going to be very hard for me to show you. It's going to be hard for me to show you this on camera. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to see that in this lighting. But there's really big pockets I milled out on the liners. I milled it fully through all the way, and I did some really big pockets out of here. And then on the liner side, I didn't have room for all those, you know, shapes I did, so I just did probably, I think there's like 10 to 12 just circular holes that I milled out through the liners on the back side of the liner, all right, on the back side of the lock. And so I saved several grams of weight on this, and you're like, several grams of weight, wow, doesn't sound like much. When you're talking about a knife that's heavy, several grams makes a lot of difference. It really, really does. And so milling the liners on this changed the knife a lot. It made it super carryable. It made the balance points a little bit better. It changed the knife a lot. And if you have access to that kind of thing, I recommend you try that. You know, if you're worried about weight, you know, do something about it, mill it out, right? And so that's what I did. The third thing I did was I completely acid stonewashed the liners, the blade, and the pocket clip. And What that did was it saved me from, it also made the knife look very old and very cool, but it saved me from corrosion, right? This is Artisan CJRB D2. In my opinion, this is the best D2 you can buy on a budget, or maybe even period, right? D2 is one of my favorite EDC steels. I have a lot of higher end steels that I carry, but D2 is, I think, the best all around EDC steel if you're not super worried about corrosion resistance, which I'm not, right? But to save myself some corrosion, I did the acid stonewash on the blade, and I haven't seen a speck of actual brown rust on this thing since I did that. So that's been very, very good. I used the crap out of this knife big time for some hard use, and I broke the tip, right? But the blade, the way I reground the blade, it's very similar to the original blade shape, right? The original blade shape, the tip came out just a little bit longer here, and the way I broke that was I was chiseling a door pocket out with this knife, and it would have been fine, but I gave it a little too much sauce and broke it off, right? No big deal, right? If you have access to a grinder, keep the heat down, you can reshape your blade. And another thing I did to this blade when I reshaped it was I chamfered the edges, but I left the machine marks. I left the machine marks on the blade so that when I strike fire steel, I can still grab spark with this, right? Normally you want a hard 90-degree edge, but if you do chamfer the edges, you just leave the machine marks on there. And on a knife like this, an apocalyptic, shipwrecky, cool guy knife like this, you know, it adds to the look, and it also adds to the functionality, in my opinion. So that was very, very cool. So as far as mods goes, that's about it. I put this cool, super cool lanyard I made from leather so I could be a cool EDC guy and take cool pictures, right? Very cool. All right, so CJRB Rampart, the action is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, I tuned it up a little bit, but they typically come just like this from the factory. If you saw my Artisan Tradition video, you'll know that the action on these knives it's out of this world, especially for the price that you're gonna pay. I think that at the time when I bought this knife, it was like $65 to $69. You can pick these things up for like $45 or $50 if I'm not mistaken now. Very cool. They make them in more than just copper. You can get them in G10, you can get them in burlap micarta, you can get them in all different types of stuff now. But the action is solid. Let's talk about the ergos a little bit. Full choil. And unlike some other Artisan knives, this is a full choil, right? I get my finger in there, no problem, no worries about stabbing myself with the blade. It just fits great. And also, this is a classic, you know, not a classic, this is a very utilitarian shaped knife, right? So you have this nice sheep's foot modified Wharncliffe blade, whatever you want to call it, but you also have a very neutral handle that just feels epic in the hand. Like, it's hard to describe how epically comfortable this knife really is to use and to hold, right? So very, very cool. Absolutely love this Rampart. Hands down, one of the best EDC knives you can get. Check them out. All right, enough about that knife. Let's talk about what I'm carrying, and then I gotta go. All right, I'm carrying the Schrade Uncle Henry traditional knife. I don't know what model they call this, but it's some faux jig bone and brass bolsters, and it's a slip joint, a traditional slip joint. You have two blades. You have a clip point. You have a sheep's foot blade. And I don't do much work with a knife like this, but I like to carry it, right? It reminds me of my grandpa, and I think it just looks really cool, and it's a fun knife, right? If you like the look of traditionals, but you don't want to spend out, or you're not ready to jump into spending out on a GEC, pick up an Uncle Henry, yo. They're dope, they're fun, they're very cool, and they're not expensive. All right. So I got a call. I had to kill the call. All right, so Casio. This is a gift from Improper EDC. Thank you very much. This is the, I believe, MWH 800? Probably wrong. It's an inexpensive watch. They make all different colors, and it feels so good to wear. And I like it a lot, man. It's nice and light. I love it. Found this breast cancer awareness bracelet at the Chinese food restaurant yesterday, so I picked it up, and it's pink, and you know I like pink, so I'm wearing it. GC3, my sidearm, and that's all I'm carrying today. So I don't know, man. If you guys like my videos, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, share the videos. If you like watching ill-prepared knife reviews, if you like watching people say over and over again, I'm your guy, right? So I love you guys. Peace out.